Hello, everybody out there on the interwebs. Welcome to episode 40 of the Writing Africa podcast. I'm your host, James Muro. I'm really excited we're on episode 40. We'll be concentrating on the NYrobi Book Fest 2025, which is going to be hosted at the Alliance Française in Nairobi. It starts on April 11th, which is today, and it runs until Sunday, April 13th. That's going to be our focus of the podcast today, and it's about the school festival. Please remember you can support our project monetarily on Patreon, PayPal, Ko-fi, or mobile money. And for more information about how to support us, please go to writingafrica.com/donate for information. Writing Africa is not just a podcast. If you're listening to this, Writing Africa is a podcast as well as a website. And the website has news that comes out regularly for you to know, what's happening in the world on African and Black literature. Since we last recorded this podcast, we've had quite a few things happening in both spaces. Let's start with the literary award space. We've had many literary awards either being handed out or, people announcing long lists or even short lists. For the winners, we've had the Prix de Saint-Continent de la Francophonie. We've had the Prix Amadou Koroma 2025. That was announced in Geneva. The Franz Hessel Prize 2024, that was announced at the Leipzig Book Festival. The U.S. National Book Critics Awards were announced. The Wyndham Campbell Prize announced their recipients. The Wyndham Campbell Prize, they give out $175,000 to writers to do their work without worrying about income. The U.S. awarded the National Book Foundation 5 out of 35 winners. In the UK, the Republic of Consciousness Prize for small presses were handed out. And if you hear me name all those awards, there was an African or Black person who received that award. For the long list, we had the Afritondo Short Story Prize. They announced a short list. The Island Prize for debut novel for Africa long list. The Island Prize, you send in your manuscript, and if you go through and win it, you get your manuscript published by Holland, and it's supported by Karen Jennings, the long listee for the Booker Prize in the UK. For shortlists, the Women's Prize for Nonfiction, the Carol Shields Prize for Fiction, those are both prizes for women writing. Women's Prize in the UK, Carol Shields in the US and the UK. OCM Booker's Prize announced their finalists, as did the Hugo Awards and Australia's Stella Prize. That one is also for women writing. They also announced their shortlist. So there's been a lot of stuff happening in the awards scene. Again, you go to writingafrica.com, you'll get all that information. We also covered information about the journals that you have available for you if you want to read them. Our friends at Olongo Africa, they've digitized the Black Orpheus Journal, the legendary journal that was done in the 60s. And that's available now. It's available in digital format. We have the Johannesburg Review or Joburg Review. Omenana, which is a speculating fiction journal, also available now. A new edition is available now. Nenta, which has just come out of Ghana, they've had 2 editions. Ubwali, they had a masterclass for entries specifically from Zambia, and those people who entered, they have a journal that they produced. You can get some Zambian writing from there. And then, of course, literary festivals and book fairs. We had the Reveal Comic Arts Festival. It happened in March. Zanzibar Book Festival. They announced that their festival is going to be happening in May 23rd to 25th. And the Bocas Lit Festival, which happens in Trinidad and Tobago, it's going to be happening in May 1st to 4th. The sad news is the Kaduna Book and Arts Festival 2021. It was supposed to happen from the 8th to 11th of May. That was cancelled. The announcement was made by curator Lola Shoneyin. She didn't say why that happened. She just said she's sad that we are not going to have the Kaduna Festival, or Kaba Fest as it's popularly known, that it's not going to happen this year, which is really sad news. Let's get into the main thrust of our podcast today. In the last 3 to 4 years, self-publishing has blown up in Kenya. In the past, publishing, 70s, Kenya was producing a lot of published works. But with the destruction of the publishing infrastructure in Kenya, a lot of publishing started being done out of the country. the only legitimate publishing that was happening through the Kenyan school system. In the last few years, people have started saying, you know what, we're not going to wait for a publisher locally or try it out international. We're just going to publish our own books. And the books have come up in leaps and bounds. There's actually a self-publishing community happening here in Kenya. And one of the beacons, or one of the biggest sellers of the community, is Nairobi's Alliance Francaise. They started hosting weekly events. If you publish your little book, you can talk to the Alliance Francaise, and they'll host you for your book launch there, and you won't pay a cent. So it's become a huge center for if you want to know what's happening in publishing, what's new in publishing, you wanna try out the Alliance Francaise. In 2021, they decided, what we're gonna do? We're gonna host a festival which will platform the self-published people alongside the published people, and that happened, of course, at the Alliance Francaise. And that event was actually quite a revelation, because many people didn't really know much about self-publishing people, but this was the first time you could see published people alongside published people. And so we had people like Vincent De Paul alongside Jenny Marima. John Sumiokumu, the playwright, he was published by a publisher. They were all platformed together, and it was really a successful event. And the Alliance Francaise decided, we can do this. So they've been doing it regularly for the last few years. Since then, they've hosted a lot of the people in the Kenyan publishing, writing, performance, business in the last 2 editions. So we've had names like John Kiriamiti, Mbogwa Gunjiri, Makena Onjarika, Victor Ndula, Jemima Njuki, Celeste Wamiru, Peter Irungu, Washuka Mungai, Ian Dennis, Eunice Kilonzo, Zakari Kamau, Dr. Jennifer Mushiri, Peter Walsamba, Professor, Zain Abubakar, Katwiwa Mule, Dr. Garnet Olwoch Olunya, Simuyu Barasa, Dr. George Gadhigi, Mutandei writes. In the last edition, we had a special guest, Remy Ngaminje, who is based in Namibia. In the last 3 editions of the festival, we've had quite a diverse group of names, doing their events at this festival. The 4th edition starts today, April 11th. And it comes with the theme, A Decade of Kenyan Writing, Past, Present, and Beyond. Listen, this is actually their most ambitious edition, because they are bringing in the people who have been writing from the past. And by the past, I don't mean in the 50s or 60s. I mean in the last 15 years. There are people who have been producing work in the last 10 years. So that's why it's called A Decade of Kenyan Writing, Past, Present, and Beyond. And it's organized, of course, by its host, Alliance Francaise Nairobi, alongside Ikitabu and Jahazi Press. In the 3 days of the festival, we'll be having panel discussions, book readings, recitals of poetry, launches of books, workshops, exhibitions, storytelling events for adults and kids, and loads more. I'll give you a snapshot of some of the people who'll be there. We'll have Yvonne Adhiambo War, Billy Kahora, Peter Kimani, Zukiswa Vanar, Troy Onyango, Khadija Abdallah Bajaber, Iman Virji, Makena Onjarika, Stanley Gazemba, Shiko Kimeria, Dennis Muga, Empress Shiko Kimani, Dan Cairo, Akbar Hussein, he'll be doing it remotely, Joe Kobudi, Kanet Olwoch Olunya, Kabubu Mutua, Junia Mbabazi, Munira Hussein, Wangare the storyteller, and that she's one who does stuff for children, Odhiambo Kauma, Mbugwa Ngunjiri, Vincent De Paul, Eric Rungara, Vera Omwocha, Ngatia the storyteller, he's more for adults, and many more guys. So if you're listening to this podcast in Nairobi, please budget for at least one of the events, because it's not often that you get such names. I mean, we rarely see Yvonne Adhiambo doing events in Nairobi anymore. Billy Kahora has come in from the UK, as has Troy Onyango. Zuki Swavanar has flown in for South Africa. We had people who are more established, and they are sharing stages with one of our favorite new writers like Dennis Muga and others like that. So if you're a writer, you like writing and you like books, but this is your weekend sorted, man. You come with a few bob, you're going to buy books, you're going to get them signed, and it's going to be a good time. I'll see you there.